The Golden Heist, a tale from 1935. It was just before dawn on a quiet, chilly morning, March 6, 1935. At Croydon Aerodrome, located in London, something valuable was waiting. Inside a secure room at the airport, over £21,000 worth of gold was stored safely. Today, that would be worth over £1.2 million. The gold was ready to be sent across the sea to the continent. The area was quiet, with only a few staff members around, and no one expected anything unusual to happen. But in the darkness, a taxi pulled up to the aerodrome. Out stepped four men: Cecil Swanland, Silvio Shankh-Mazzarda, John O'Brien, and a mysterious figure only known as Little Harry. These men were not just there for a ride. They had a plan, a daring, dangerous plan to steal the gold sitting quietly in the strong room. The taxi driver was told to wait. The men, calm and confident, approached the aerodrome. They moved with purpose, but without drawing attention. Silvio Shankh-Mazzarda held something very important in his hand, a set of duplicate keys. They had managed to get these keys from someone who worked at the airport, making their entry into the strong room easy. No alarms went off, and no guards were aware. Inside the strong room, the gold was stacked neatly, shining even in the dim light. The men moved quickly but carefully, wrapping the bars of gold to avoid making any noise. They worked in silence, each knowing that any mistake could cost them everything. After loading the gold into their bags, they locked the strong room again, leaving everything as they found it. No one would know the gold was missing, at least not for a while. With their bags full of gold, they returned to the waiting taxi. They climbed in, leaving the aerodrome behind. The heist had gone perfectly, or so it seemed. By that evening, the news had spread across London. The headlines read, "Daring Airport Raid Shocks London, Gold Stolen from Aerodrome." It was one of the boldest robberies the city had ever seen. The police were quickly on the case, and the whole city was buzzing with the shocking news. But despite their careful planning, trouble soon came knocking for the gang. Cecil Swanland, the mastermind, was arrested not long after. The police found evidence of the crime at his home, traces of gold and plans that pointed directly to him. Still, when they put him on trial, Swanland remained calm. Even as he was sentenced to 7 years of hard labor, he smiled. He didn't seem worried at all. It was as if he knew something the rest of the world didn't. Meanwhile, John O'Brien and Silvio Mazzarda were also brought to court. Things looked bad for them too, but something surprising happened. The key witness against them was the taxi driver who had taken them to the aerodrome. But when the driver was asked to identify the men in court, he hesitated. He wasn't sure. Maybe it was too dark that morning. Maybe the men he had driven weren't the ones standing in front of him. With that doubt, the case fell apart, and the charges were dropped. They walked free. And what about Little Harry? No one ever figured out who he was. His identity remained a mystery, adding another layer of intrigue to the story. Now you might wonder, what happened to the gold? Did the police ever find it? The answer is no. The gold was never recovered. It simply vanished, just like Little Harry. Cecil Swanland, an artist with a taste for luxury, continued to fascinate the public even after his trial. Newspapers called him the man who can't go straight. Despite his life of crime, he was known for his charm and his love of fancy restaurants and expensive hotels. Some said not even romance could keep him on the right path. Swanland served his time, but the mystery of the missing gold followed him for the rest of his life. To this day, the Croydon Aerodrome heist remains one of the most daring and puzzling robberies in British history. The gold is still missing. And as for Little Harry, well, maybe he's out there somewhere, laughing quietly at the biggest mystery of them all.